If you guys enjoy what I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free and easy to do. Welcome to my channel where we cover the lore of video games. We cover all kinds from the mainstream to the indie, so I hope you enjoy your stay, and welcome to the Chronicler of Lore. Before we get started with today's video, I have an announcement to make. After years of telling other people's stories, I finally released one of my own. My novel Eternal Reign is available now in both ebook and paperback format for those of you who are like me and prefer to collect physical media. You can grab a copy right now on Amazon through the link in the description of this video. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. Lucienne, the leader of the Archers Guild in Gridania, lets the Warrior of Light know that another Ixali ship has been seen flying over the 12's Wood. Seeing the thing made her think back to the Battle of Griffin Crossing. It was a fight with the Ixali that happened 20 years ago, and it hadn't gone well for the Gridanians. But that's not the main reason she called the Warrior of Light. A very well-known archer known as the God's Bow has come back to the 12's Wood. His actual name is Jantel, and he was a legend among the God's Quiver archers. He's the one archer that everyone who uses a bow would want to learn from. He's also a bard, one of the few whose songs are more than just catchy tunes. His songs actually help make the people around him stronger. Since he showed back up, a lot of people, even Lucienne, went to try to get him to train them, but he wouldn't teach any of them, at least not in archery. He's perfectly fine with talking about his songs. If it wasn't for the fact that the archers are so busy guarding the city, some of them might have taken him up on the offer. But since it's better to shoot arrows than music notes, it's not a good fit for them. But the Warrior of Light has the opportunity to learn a variety of different skills, so she goes off to Quarry Mill to see just what Jantel can teach. The old man is happy to have a visitor, but he can't teach you any archery. He swapped his bow for a harp a long time ago, and he's not planning on picking it back up again. But he can still tell when someone has potential, and he can see that the Warrior of Light has the makings of a good archer, if she keeps shooting stuff. But he doesn't plan on helping her with that. He is surprised that even after he tells her that, she still wants to stick around and learn his songs, so he sends her off to meet a friend of his to see if she actually does have the potential to be a bard. His friend's a Moogle named Puckno Pokey, and he's really good at seeing if people have talent, so if he says you have the right stuff, then Jantel would teach you. You find the Moogle, but he's in a pretty bad mood since he lost something important to him, but he becomes a little more talkative when he finds out who sent you. Apparently he's been trying to get the old man to become a permanent resident of the forest and play his special songs for the Moogles, but the man keeps turning him down. It's not all that surprising that he sees the same talent in you, since you are in fact the main character of the story. You can go back to the old bard and tell him that you have Puckno's seal of approval, but the Moogle needs a quick favor first. He had a charm that he wanted to give to Jantel, but it got stolen while he was asleep. He knows where the thief went though, and he wants you to get his stuff back and take it to the old man when you go. This is probably the easiest fetch quest the Warrior of Light has done, so she finds the thing and takes it to the old bard. The old man knew the Moogle back when he first became a bard, and he had promised to stick around and sing a bit. At the time he was busy fighting though, and eventually something happened that had caused him to have to leave the wood altogether. Jantel figured that training new bards who would pass through the area and sing would get the Moogle off of his back, but apparently that's not the case. But the Moogle wasn't lying when he said you had potential, and the fact that he sent you back with the charm that's actually a bard's soul crystal is proof of that. The Moogles only give those to people that they think are worthy of being bards. It holds the songs sung by bards of the past, and as you carry it around, you'll be able to draw out that knowledge. And since your skill with the bow will help you be a better bard, you'll learn music by shooting people with arrows. It doesn't make sense to you, but Jantel thinks you'll understand as you get deeper into his training. And he may even get around to telling you why he stopped fighting in the first place. For now, all he tells you is that something drew him to the power that songs have to change people's emotions. And he's not talking about the music that people dance to when they've had a bit too much alcohol in a club. He's talking about songs with real power that can change the direction of a battle. Archers have always been a part of war, raining death down on the battlefield from a distance. But as the battles last, they get more chaotic, and it becomes harder for them to separate the people they should shoot from the ones they shouldn't. It's hard to stay focused in those situations, and one thing they would do to keep their thoughts in order was sing songs. Other people would hear the songs and it would make them fight harder and better. The generals of the armies noticed the potential benefits of those songs, but they didn't want to waste archers by sending them to train in this new skill, so new divisions of bards were created for the sole purpose of learning songs that could help strengthen the troops. The problem was these bards were missing actual combat experience or skill, which made their songs not have power, and they got a lot of people dead. Some spirits of those failed bards are supposed to be out in Raincatcher Gully, and as part of your training, Jantel wants you to go there and free the tormented spirits, which should draw some songs out of the soul stone you have. Jantel clearly knows what he's talking about because it actually works, and when you get back to him, he can see the change in you, which makes him get a bit more talkative about his past. He remembers when he was young and a bard came through his town singing songs that seemed to make him really popular with the ladies, which is probably the main reason why Jantel decided to become a bard in the first place. Women do seem to have a thing for men who sing for some reason. Talking to that man let him know that a lot of wandering minstrels are actually former soldiers who had to find new ways to make a living after the battles were done. Some became mercenaries or adventurers, while others took the things that they saw and made songs out of them. The things they sang about made great stories, so they were always able to make money performing here or there. The problem with that came from the need to always tell bigger and better stories, which led to a lot of bards just making stuff up to impress people, something you've seen with every extreme trial the Wandering Minstrel has unlocked for you. These made-up stories didn't have the same power over people's emotions, so while people still enjoy them, they don't have any real magic. The Mughals, who are all about singing magical songs, noticed that mankind was losing the power of song, so they collected all of the Bard soul crystals that they could find, so they could give them to people who could bring the real power back into the order. Once the history lesson is over and done with, Jantel wants to know if you've ever heard a very specific song called The Ballad of the Vainglorious Fool. Since it wasn't on the list of things you kept on your playlist, he of course has to tell you about it. It was a song about the massacre of Griffin Crossing, a battle that happened a few decades ago and cost a lot of Gridanians their lives. It's an important story, but he wants you to go to Welwick Wood and put down a pair of owl goats that have been on a rampage since their child died. After you handle that very random bit of business and make it back to him, he gets back to telling you the story. It follows an archer from the God's Quiver who was the best they had ever seen and was pretty arrogant because of his skill. His arrogance got an entire squad killed at Griffin Crossing. The archer was supposed to be standing guard, but he thought his skills could be put to better use, so he headed off on a mission of his own, and while he was gone, everyone got killed. There's a lesson in that story, and Jantel wants you to think about it while you escort him to the burial site of some of the soldiers who died in that battle. He wants to put some flowers on their graves, so you head off with him to do just that. While the two of you are out there, some Ixali attack. Jantel tries to shoot them, but he keeps seeing all of the people he got killed, which makes him not be able to use his bow at all, so he runs off and leaves you to deal with the beastmen alone. After you do what you always do and put an end to your attackers, you find the old bard who finally admits that the reason he doesn't teach people archery anymore is because he can't use his bow. I'm pretty sure the Warrior of Light already figured this out, but he was the man who had got his whole squad killed. After that day, he had been haunted by what he'd done, and he hadn't been able to pick up a bow since. Seeing you in action lets him know that he doesn't have to worry about you making the same mistakes that he did. He thinks you have what it takes to be better than him, which proves that you're worthy of wearing the uniform of the Bards. He'd gotten it from Pucknopoki when the Moogle had deemed him worthy of carrying the soul of a Bard. Of course, that was before the whole massacre thing. After that incident, Jantel had started wandering around looking for a place to die. And while he wandered around the world, he threw the Bard clothes in some very hard to reach places so no one would ever be able to find them. He figured that if what the Mughals said about the clothes choosing their wearer was true, then they'd find a way back to him eventually. He had never really considered the fact that they might be meant for someone else until you showed up. The good news is he remembers where he put them. The bad news is they're all over Eorzea. So after spending a lot of gil on teleporting around and a lot of time flying to some obscure locations, you track down 4 of the pieces and head back to the old Bard. There's only 1 piece of the armor left to complete your set. The last time Jantel had been in Ul'dah, he had seen the last piece of his Bard gear in a shop window. Since he hadn't seen it in decades, he figured it was a sign that he should get it and track down a worthy successor. That was when he came back to the 12's Wood and immediately got swarmed by archers wanting him to teach them how to shoot. Out of all of the candidates, the only one who was interested in learning more than better ways to kill people from a distance was you. You've proven yourself to be a worthy heir, and you've given him the motivation to finally go back to the spot where his friends had died, so he can use the magical songs he learned to finally put their souls to rest. And he obviously wants you to come with him, so the two of you head off to Kurthus. His music draws out a lot of Ixali who try to kill you both, and since the old bards still can't fight, you have to do all of the work yourself. You do your thing and put the creatures down, but one of them is not as dead as it looked. It attacks the Warrior of Light from behind, and not wanting to see someone else die because of his failure, the old man finally shoots his bow for the first time in decades, and because in fantasy worlds skills don't get rusty when you don't practice, the man's aim is still good so he doesn't accidentally shoot you. Not only did he find a worthy heir to his skills, that student managed to help him put his demons to rest, making you more than deserving of the final piece of his armor and the full title of Bard. Now that your training is done, the two of you leave as equals, Jantel heading off to rejoin the God's Quiver, while the Warrior of Light moves on to her next adventure, which will likely have their paths cross again in the not too distant future. And that's where we're going to stop for today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Donate to the channel if you can, and I'll see you all next time.